Other people get to travel into books and become the rich and glamorous female lead, but this woman ended up as the rich family's side character. Ji Yushui was originally a powerful and decisive matriarch in the Jin dynasty. She was fearless and smart, taking down bandits effortlessly with a flick of her iron fan. Just as she was about to flash her pure gold hairpin and blind the bandits, she suddenly felt a calling from a hidden book she had secretly kept for years. In the blink of an eye, she found herself as the eldest daughter of the Xinyang group. Unfortunately, this woman was just a side character in a rich family. She had to hold back her temper while explaining her time travel situation to a baffled doctor, making her frustrated and the doctor suspicious of her sanity. But none of this could defeat her. She even had a soft spot for lonely warriors in strange places. When she heard over the phone that her brother-in-law had caused trouble again, she was far from surprised. Dealing with his messes was just another headache on top of her own. The chaos of such a ridiculous family was something only the super-rich could manage. Just as quickly, Ji Yushui, in her sexy high heels, jumped from the 88th floor. Before the doctor could react, she was already on the streets, facing a brand new world and an unfamiliar body. She carefully navigated through the previous owner's memories. This body belonged to the eldest daughter of the Xinyang group, who shared the same name as her. Spoiled and domineering from a young age, she had orchestrated a scandalous affair with the president of the Yang family, which the media had widely publicized. Sadly, even though she married into the wealthy Yang family, she had no real power and was often looked down upon. Just when she needed him most, the Yang family president vanished shortly after their wedding, leaving her with a new kind of chaos. This is why girls shouldn't be blinded by love. The Yang family was now facing internal and external threats, and she was unfortunate enough to land in the middle of this mess, replacing this unruly heiress and becoming the center of the storm. As Ji Yushui was lost in her thoughts, her phone suddenly buzzed with a message, "Mrs. Yang, where are you? The fourth young master has gotten into trouble again, and we can't handle it." She put her phone down, reflecting on her 10 years with the Sheng family. She could strategize in court and dominate the battlefield, but she hadn't expected the Yang family to be such a mess. The guy in question even looked like a wannabe rapper. With no way back, she decided to make the best of her situation and fix this family. Time to whip these useless people into shape. As the car screeched to a halt outside the police station, Ji Yushui made a dramatic entrance. At the station, she used her sharp gaze to lock onto the driver, quickly yanking his belt off, ready to deal with her troublesome brother-in-law. Inside the police station, the place looked like a bad cosplay convention. Yang Wenbo lounged around, waiting to be bailed out, shocked to see his formerly fierce sister here to rescue him. He doubted she deserved to be his sister-in-law, thinking she was just putting on a show. As they argued, she brandished the belt, ready for an intense and polite conversation. Ji Yushui, once a formidable woman from the past, now faced disrespect from her brother-in-law. She was determined to reclaim what was hers. She advanced towards her brother-in-law. He panicked. "Sister-in-law, what are you doing?" At that critical moment, a blonde guy stepped in. He was Jiang Jing, the third young master of the Jiang family, and the reason Ji Yushui had to come to the police station. As Jiang Jing taunted Yang Wenbo, Ji Yushui stepped up to defend her family, declaring, "I'm his sister-in-law, and I'm not afraid to take you on. Do you know who I am?" Jiang Jing looked unimpressed, but he soon realized he was dealing with a tough opponent. Ji Yushui exposed all of Jiang Jing's misdeeds. During the conversation, she then had a bright idea and decided to take Jiang Jing home too. After that, the eldest sister-in-law decided to take these two troublemakers with her. In his mind, Jiang Jing thought, why not? Let's go and see who's afraid of who. The three of them sat in the car, with Ji Yushui next to the blonde guy. She thought to herself that Sheng family members were already on the battlefield at this age, but these kids' attitudes were easy to fix. Her brother-in-law was grumbling in the front seat. Suddenly, Yang Wenbo noticed through the review mirror that the blonde guy was staring at Ji Yushui's legs. Furious, Yang Wenbo yelled for the driver to stop the car and demanded to switch seats with Ji Yushui. She shouted, "Is this how you talk to your sister-in-law? Yang Wenbo was not happy and told his sister-in-law to sit in the front. Jiang Jing, the blonde guy, muttered, "What's the big deal? I was just looking at her legs. What's your problem?" He thought. Mind your own business. Both guys looked irritated and stared out the windows after their argument. Just as they arrived at the Yang mansion, a maid rushed over and said, "Madam, where have you been? Miss Jiang is here, you should go see her." Before she could finish, Miss Jiang, a third-rate starlet claiming to be Yang Chao's lover and pregnant with his child, appeared. Jiang Meng, the so-called girlfriend, had caused plenty of trouble for Ji Yushui before, making her life difficult. But Ji Yushui was no longer the pushover she used to be. Now a high-ranking lady, she promptly threw Jiang Meng and her fake baby drama out the door. The two young men sarcastically commented on the scene and followed their sister-in-law inside. No one expected Ji Yushui to change so much and give Jiang Meng such a cold reception. Once inside, the eldest sister-in-law eagerly invited everyone upstairs. Jiang Jing was still hopeful that things would go his way, thinking the adults would apologize. But as soon as he walked through the door, a sexy belt came flying towards him. "Since your family hasn't taught you any manners, I'll do it today," Ji Yushui said, ready to show him what respect and rules meant. So Ji Yushui took out her fancy leather belt and whipped Jiang Jing with it. It was so intense that even through the screen, you could feel how hard she was hitting him. Jiang Jing couldn't believe she actually dared to hit him, and in such a humiliating way too. "How dare you hit me?" he yelled. With each lash of the belt, it was clear that Ji Yushui was determined to teach Jiang Jing a lesson. Jiang Jing's handsome face showed pure agony as he begged, "Please stop, it hurts so much." Ji Yushui seemed to be overly loving him. The brother-in-law outside the door were so scared that their legs were shaking. Yang Wenbo thought she couldn't do this at the police station, so now she's going all out inside the house. He's going to get beaten up by a woman today. Clearly, Jiang Jing couldn't handle Ji Yushui's tough love and quickly surrendered. He knelt on the ground, calling her big sister and shouting that he would apologize. Finally, Ji Yushui let go after hearing his apology. She was really strict with him. Just as Jiang Jing knelt down, he tried to take back his apology. But Ji Yushui gave him another whip and told him to think about what he said today. Jiang Jing then bowed deeply in a perfect angle, showing his good dance skills. Yang Wenbo, standing aside, was dumbfounded by what he saw. After dealing with Jiang Jing, Ji Yushui turned to him and said, "Now, you need to apologize to Yang Wenbo." Yang Wenbo was even more stunned and stood frozen in place. Jiang Jing was still complaining to Ji Yushui, "He hit me too, and now I have to apologize? Seriously?" But Ji Yushui was losing patience and pulled out her fancy leather belt again, ready for round 2. "Yang Wenbo, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have fought with you. I won't bring up the Yang family at the next party." Yang Wenbo, who was actually a proud little guy, acted like he didn't care, but deep down he didn't want him talking about these things. "Can I leave now that everything's settled? If I don't leave, I might get whipped again," Jiang Jing thought. With Ji Yushui's permission, he limped away as fast as he could. Ji Yushui thought to herself, "Next time, I'll do some cosplay." Now, only Yang Wenbo was left standing there, thinking, is she standing up for me? This feels weird. Just as he finished his thought, the familiar sound of the belt whipped across his 48-pack abs. "Oh. Ji Yushui, what are you doing? I hit him because he was disrespecting the Yang family, but why are you hitting me?" For a moment, Ji Yushui was at a loss for words. She suddenly missed her own family. "You fought because you're a Yang family member, but you handled it poorly and embarrassed the family," she said after a brief pause, then regained her authoritative tone. Ji Yushui's sultry demeanor turned into a stern lesson. "It's one thing to lose, but it's even worse to fight knowing you can't win. You're embarrassing yourself," she said, leaving Yang Wenbo speechless. She then threw down the belt and walked off, ignoring Yang Wenbo. "Are you done hitting me?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "Hitting outsiders is to intimidate them, but family is different. Yang Wenbo realized Ji Yushui was protective of her own. He wanted to play more of this thrilling game with his sister-in-law, but knew he'd have to wait until next time. Right now, he needed to treat his fresh wounds. Meanwhile, Mrs. Jiang Meng was clutching her chest in fear. "Mrs. Yang, I'm not feeling well today. Let's talk some other time." Jiang Meng ran out of the Yang family without looking back, thinking, is this woman crazy? She's nothing like the timid person I knew before. I need to tell him right away. She hurried to her car and called someone. Jiang Meng, shaking, said into the phone, "It's not going well. That person is Cao Jiayin. I told you, Jiang Mingchang is a good friend of Yang Chao, and if Yang Chao is missing, she will definitely come, and Jian Rui will come with her." Hearing Jian Rui's name, Jiang Meng started to panic and sweat heavily. What should I do? The Jian family is powerful in the entertainment industry. If your wife Jian Rui finds out I'm pregnant with your child, she will destroy me. And the baby in her belly isn't even Yang Chao's, it's Cao Jiayin's. A threatening voice came from the other end of the line. If you can't keep this child, don't expect a penny from me. Jiang Meng was worried about framing Yang Chao with this child. If Yang Chao comes back alive, my situation will be worse than offending Jian Rui. She let out a sharp scream, but Cao Jiayin, calm and mocking, replied, Yang Chao went missing in Africa during the Ebola outbreak. He won't be coming back. On a luxurious 1,800-meter-long red velvet sofa, Yang Wenbo asked, is the woman who came today the one the paparazzi reported staying at the hotel with my brother? It seems the Yang family's young master's romantic exploits are well known. The maid, looking embarrassed, answered. The fourth young master of the Yang family thought to himself, my brother has been missing for half a month, and that bogus scandal happened 3 months ago. Why bring it up now? Why is she showing up at our door with a huge belly? Just then, the butler jumped in to address them. The young master's wife instructed the butler to take care of it. Next, Yang Wenbo crossed his arms and lifted his silky white shirt, showing off his impressive six-pack abs. While taking off his shirt, Yang Wenbo asked, where's Sister Ji Yushui? It seemed this guy was also captivated by his sister-in-law. The maid awkwardly replied with a smile, Madam is resting in her room and doesn't want to be disturbed. In her room, the sister-in-law was wearing a sexy black dress and washing up. Suddenly, her amber eyes fixed on a spot. The man in the picture with the kid was Yang Chao. Ji Yushui thought, he's a tough guy, not someone to mess with. Hard to believe a guy like that would easily agree to marry this fragile body. But according to the typical domineering CEO love story, he'll probably meet the main female character, Yu Xiao Xiao, during his disappearance, quickly fall in love, and when he returns from Africa, he'll bring her back too, kicking this secondary female character and her divorce papers out of the picture. At that moment, the phone rang, interrupting Ji Yushui's thoughts. She hurried downstairs and saw Yang Wenbo about to pick up the phone. The butler mentioned it was a call from Mr. Jiang. Yang Wenbo thought, Jiang Jing, you idiot, you really told your brother. Staying calm, Yang Wenbo picked up the phone and said, hello? A deep, masculine voice on the other end said, please pass the phone to Mrs. Yang. Clearly, this call wasn't for Yang Wenbo. Yang Wenbo quickly responded, does Mr. Jiang need something from her? If it's about Jiang Jing, you can talk to me. The man on the phone said, you can't make decisions. With just 5 words, the man exuded a cold, noble, and handsome big brother aura. Right then, the fourth young master got really mad, almost started rambling nonsense. How dare he talk trash about my big brother, he thought, ready to fight. Just then, a familiar voice interrupted, swiftly taking the phone from his hand. The fourth young master stubbornly said, I can handle this myself. His sister-in-law, now dressed in an elegant white outfit and looking like a goddess, stood next to Yang Wenbo, making him seem like a nobody. She grabbed Yang Wenbo's hand, took the phone with her other hand, and Yang Wenbo blushed. Ji Yushui calmly answered the phone, this is Ji Yushui speaking. Meanwhile, the second young master of the Jiang family, lounging on a sofa with a cigarette, said, Mrs. Yang, hitting Jiang Jing clearly disrespects our family. I need to visit in person. On the phone, Ji Shui simply replied, "Fine, I'll be waiting." Her calm, mysterious, and mature vibe was unmistakable. She hung up, thinking, what a bunch of losers, all after me. At the Jiang family home, the butler asked, "Second young master, are you really going to visit the Yang family?" The second young master thought, if I don't go now, I might never get another chance. He put out his cigarette and said, "I'm heading to the Yang family at 3 p.m. He smiled, part charming, part cool, and added, with Yang Chao out of the picture, it's the perfect time to visit. This guy wasn't just visiting, he was obviously after Ji Shui. Little did he know, Yang Wenbo and Ji Shui were having a serious conversation. Yang Wenbo angrily asked, "Why did you take the call? Aren't you afraid of trouble?" Yang Wenbo tugged on Ji Shui's bracelet, looking her straight in the eye. "So, you just want to take that hit for me?" he asked. She replied calmly, "It's good that you understand family hierarchy and want to protect your family, but some things are too much for kids to handle. Leave it to the adults." Yang Wenbo's cheeks turned a bit red. "Who's a kid? Who's an adult? You're only in your 20s. Ji Shui took a moment to compose herself and asked, "Have you had breakfast?" She quickly pulled her hand away. Yang Wenbo, a bit embarrassed and annoyed, muttered, "Not yet." Just like that, the two of them started eating breakfast. While they ate, Ji Shui said, "When I hit him, I knew what would happen. You should plan before you act. Next time you face trouble, handle it like this. You're proving to be a different kind of sister-in-law, uniting the family." Yang Wenbo shot back. Ji Shui continued, "Jiang's second son is in charge now. Him getting involved in small matters like this shows he's very interested in brother Yang's disappearance." This hit home for Yang Wenbo, who quickly asked, "Aren't you worried he'll target our family while my brother is away? He can't take down the Yang family, but he might try to mess with us. You need to be more cautious. Your brother is amazing, but the whole business empire doesn't rely on just one person. If he's smart, he's building a strong team to keep things running even when he's gone," Ji Shui replied. She wiped her mouth and said, "So, these aren't things for us to worry about." Just then, the doorbell rang. Jiang's second son was here, right in time for the showdown. Ji Shui, unfazed, said, "This is really good. Let's wash another plate." Everyone could see how Ji Shui's calm approach captivated the men. With a loud bang, Jiang's second son made his grand entrance. He walked in confidently, standing tall. As he walked, he greeted Ji Shui, thinking, "Soon you'll be Mrs. Jiang." Ji Shui and Yang Wenbo were sitting on the couch, waiting for Jiang's second son. When he arrived, Ji Shui calmly asked, "Mr. Jiang, are you here to stand up for Jiang Jing?" Jiang's second son replied, "We need an explanation." He touched his own chin and with a calm gaze said, "How can we let it go when someone from the Jiang family gets hit by someone from the Yang family?" Ji Shui retorted, "And what about when your Jiang family hits someone from the Yang family? What should we do about that?" Jiang's second son thought for a moment and asked, "So, what do you want, Mrs. Yang?" Ji Shui replied, "An eye for an eye, so I hit him." Before Jiang's second son could react, Ji Shui beckoned Yang Wenbo with a little finger. Yang Wenbo obediently came over like a puppy. Ji Shui touched Yang Wenbo's wound and said to Jiang's second son, "Mr. Jiang, your brother caused this." Yang Wenbo looked smug, feeling empowered. "Does your family think they can bully the Yang family?" Ji Shui said seriously. Jiang's second son tried to dismiss it as kids' play. It's just kids fighting. Why make it a big deal with adults getting involved? Ji Shui firmly responded, "I hit Jiang Jing for Yang Wenbao. If you're not happy, you can hit me back for Jiang Jing. It's only fair." She added with a smile, "No time like the present, Mr. Jiang. Let's settle this now." She smiled, showing her white teeth. Jiang's second son started to panic and said, "I don't fight with women." Jiang's second son, realizing he'd lost face in front of Ji Yushui, stood up and said, "Since Jiang Jing started it, let's just drop it." Ji Yushui looked displeased and responded, "Mr. Jiang, do you think you can just walk all over the Yang family?" Jiang's second son smiled slyly and said, "So what do you want, Mrs. Yang?" He moved closer, clearly trying to take advantage of the situation. Ji Yushui grabbed the front of Jiang's shirt and pulled him closer until they were almost nose to nose. The butler, worried, said, "Mrs. Yang, what are you doing?" Mr. Jiang already backed down. "Do you want to fight him now?" The butler's panic only highlighted his lack of resolve compared to Ji Yushui's boldness. Ji Yushui released Jiang's second son and started to fiddle with a button on his shirt, eventually pulling it off. She said, "Consider this an apology gift for your brother's actions." She waved the button around, making Jiang's second son blush and tug at his tie. "All right then, we're even. I'll take my leave," he said, flustered from the encounter. Just as he thought he could escape, Ji Yushui stopped him again, saying, "Wait, take some freshly washed strawberries with you. They're really sweet. You can't leave empty-handed." As Jiang's second son walked out, his assistant driving the car commented, "Mr. Jiang, Mrs. Yang isn't what the rumors say. She's smart but pretty domineering." At this point, Mr. Jiang stood there, staring blankly in one direction while holding a box filled with strawberries. He was eating a strawberry and thinking about how weird Mrs. Yang was, especially when she licked her finger. "That's so gross." He continued eating and licking his fingers, thinking to himself, "These strawberries are pretty sweet. I wonder if Mrs. Yang is even sweeter." The scene then shifted to a film set, where the crew was whispering among themselves. 3 days ago, at 1 a.m., while they were shooting a night scene, Yang Ji suddenly disappeared from the set and was out of the security camera's view, making the director very anxious. The director and his assistant were discussing how hard it was to find him, pointing at the security footage. The director was getting frustrated, rubbing his nose bridge, and asking his assistant why they still couldn't reach him. The assistant, equally stressed, said they'd searched everywhere but couldn't find him. On the brink of a breakdown, the director told his assistant to keep looking, insisting that they had to find him. He was panicking and pulling at his thinning hair, saying that if Mr. Yang's family member went missing from the set, it would be a disaster. Yang Ji was truly a handful. Not only did he cause trouble for his sister-in-law at home, but now he was also troubling the director on set. The director hurriedly contacted Ji Yushui, hoping she could help find Yang Ji. Meanwhile, Ji Yushui was chilling at home, sipping her tea and reading a romance novel called The Bossy CEO Fell in Love with Me. She casually asked the maid if the fourth young master had gone to school and thought about how tasty the crab meatballs and tofu were. She decided to send some to her rebellious son. The maid was shocked. She'd never seen Ji Yushui so considerate before, like she was a completely different person. Just then, the phone rang. Ji Yushui saw it was a missed call from the crew of The Spy. They told her that Mr. Unwanted had suddenly disappeared during filming and asked her what to do. Ji Yushui was confused and had a bad feeling. She asked who Yang Wenjia was and then remembered it was Yang Ji, Yang Chao's second brother. He was a handsome guy who had become a hot celebrity in the entertainment industry under the name Yang Wenjia. She couldn't believe another Yang family member was causing trouble. Feeling the weight of the situation, Ji Yushui hung up and told the butler to get the car. She was about to start another exhausting mission. She had rushed to the film set. Meanwhile, about 30 kilometers away at a beach, the second young master stood on a rectangular pillar. The wind was blowing, making the scene dramatic. The second young master stared blankly at the sea. Suddenly, wearing pajamas that cost $88,888 and showing off his toned chest, he jumped off the pillar. A nearby seagull thought, "Seriously? Someone jumps off a cliff and lands on me? Just my luck." Meanwhile, a black stretch Lincoln limo arrived at a small theater. People were buzzing, wondering if Yang Chao was back or if it was something to do with Jiang Meng, the supposedly pregnant starlet. To everyone's surprise, a long, slender, pale leg emerged from the car, adorned with black high heels. A red dress highlighted her striking presence. The woman was none other than our leading lady, Ji Shui. With black sunglasses and hands in her pockets, she exuded a strong, no-nonsense vibe and asked curtly, "Who's the director?" The onlookers were in awe, whispering about how stunning Mrs. Yang was. Meanwhile, the once arrogant Jiang Meng now stood trembling, fearing Ji Shui's presence would steal her spotlight or ruin her plans. She put on a sweet smile and approached Ji Shui, but before she could even say a Mrs. Yang, Ji Shui ignored her completely. That's the difference between the main wife and the side chick. The two directors and manager quickly put on friendly faces and rushed to greet her. The man in the yellow shirt was Director Li, and the older man in a Sherlock Holmes hat was Yuan Wenjia's manager. Without a word, she took Yuan Wenjia's manager away. It looked like she was here to take charge. Jiang Meng shot her a venomous look, gossiping about how Mrs. Yang had everyone running around. A short-haired woman next to her remarked, "If you were Mrs. Yang, you could do the same." As Ji Shui got into the car with her brother manager, he sat nervously between two big bodyguards. Picture two stepmoms hanging out with a little schoolgirl, and you'll get the idea. Ji Shui skillfully used her tablet to search for Yang Wenjia. One of the handsome bodyguards nearby reminded her that if she needed to use Yang family's resources, she'd have to get permission from Mr. Yang's secretary first. But Ji Shui just shut him down with, "No need." She didn't need the Yang family's help, she could handle things herself. The bodyguards had never seen anything like this before. The look on their faces said it all, they couldn't believe she didn't need their help. One bodyguard nearby was so moved he started to cry. Ji Shui handed the tablet to the driver. The screen showed the last footage of Yang Wenjia before he disappeared. Jumping back to the present, Yang Wenjia was standing at the edge of a cliff, shirt open dramatically, saying, "Goodbye, world. It doesn't matter if you don't see me again, but think of all the seagulls and animals I'll hurt by jumping." Right after he said that, he jumped. He fell into the sea with a peaceful look on his face, but before he could die, he heard an engine roaring. He opened his eyes and thought, did the Grim Reaper send a Lamborghini to pick me up this quickly? He focused and saw Ji Shui swimming towards him like a mermaid in a red dress. As Ji Shui brought him back to the surface, Yang Wenjia looked pitiful, shivering and looking heartbroken. She asked, "Are you all right?" Yang Wenjia nodded like a scared puppy. But in the next moment, Ji Shui pushed him back underwater, making him feel like he was caught and dragged away by a crazy dog catcher. Yang Wenjia, still coughing hard and looking weak, was wrapped in a towel by a bodyguard. Ji Shui took the towel, her perfect jawline and high nose catching the light as she thanked the bodyguard. Yang Wenjia couldn't help but notice how stunning she looked. He had seen many people fall for her charm, and now he understood why. Looking into Ji Shui's eyes, Yang Wenjia shouted, "You almost drowned me." Ji Shui calmly replied, "Weren't you trying to jump into the sea?" "I was helping you." Yang Wenjia shot back, "There's a net under the water for extreme sports, haven't you heard of that?" Ji Shui smirked and said, "Is extreme sports a fancy way of saying you want to die? If that wasn't enough, I can help you again." Her eyes were intense, showing she meant every word. She wasn't going to be gentle just because he was family. The manager, sensing things were getting out of hand, quickly stepped in and suggested, "Mrs. Yang, maybe we should sit down and talk." Yang Wenjia, now scared stiff, didn't move. Ji Shui didn't let up, saying, "No need. Call the crew and tell them we found him." The manager nodded and quickly made the call. Ji Shui turned back, giving them a perfect side profile, and said, "Get in the car, what are you waiting for?" Yang Wenjia, thinking she might play more tricks on him, reluctantly got in, shivering in his thin clothes. An hour later, the Yang family's long Lincoln limo pulled up with a screech in front of the bustling film set. The director, with his hair styled in an outdated fashion, exclaimed, "What's going on here?" Yang Wenjia, looking like he'd been through the ringer, said, "It's nothing, I just fell in the water." His manager quickly stepped forward, grabbing Yang Wenjia and leading him to his dressing room amid everyone's concern. Once inside, he changed into a fresh set of clothes. Meanwhile, outside, Ji Shui, wrapped in a similar robe, was chatting with the director. The gossip was rampant. The beautiful sister-in-law loves handsome guys, first flirting with the younger brother, then the husband can't hide his jealousy. Yang Wenjia finished changing and walked out, thinking that this was the third person to call her Mrs. Yang. So, she really was the legendary sister-in-law, Ji Shui. He called out her name, Ji Shui. She turned and replied, "Call me sister-in-law?" This kid really didn't know his place. If it had been the fourth young master, the snakeskin whip would have been ready, leaving scars on his legs. Meanwhile, the director was busily organizing things, and Ji Shui sat alone, seemingly deep in thought. Ji Shui sat alone, seemingly deep in thought, when the manager approached and asked, "Mrs. Yang, how did you know he was there?" Ji Shui smirked and said, "These rich kids are all the same, always looking for some unique thrill." She turned to the manager, who was crouching, and asked, "You've been with him for so long, and you didn't know he was like this?" The manager, flustered, waved his hands and said, I didn't know." Just then, Ji Shui's phone buzzed. It was the fourth young master, calling to tell her that the lion's head meatballs had been delivered. He asked, "Did you send this food?" Ji Shui replied, "Yes, I sent it." "Don't you like it?" You could hear the tension in his voice over the phone. The fourth young master shyly admitted he liked Mrs. Yang. It seemed she had both brothers wrapped around her finger. Just then, the second young master, wearing a suit and tie, came out, bewildered. He thought about Ji Shui sending food to his brother and then felt like he was left to die. Ji Shui, still focused on her phone, hadn't noticed the second young master. She found it odd. One brother was surprised by a simple meal, while the other seemed carefree and reckless about his own life. She wondered how two such different people could be in the same family, and how the Yang family itself seemed strange, lacking both rules and affection. At that moment, the director with the outdated hairstyle yelled, "Action!" This broke Ji Shui's thoughts. Yang Wenjia, who had been missing, returned to the set, and Ji Shui felt a brief sense of relief. Yang Wenjia began his work, dressed in a sharp suit and tie, standing among the crowd. The narrator outside the camera said, this was the high society he once fought hard to enter. Now he blended in as naturally as a drop of water into the sea. The old him died today, and a new him was reborn. It turned out the long lines were just for the narrator, while the actor only had to make a few simple gestures. When the director yelled "cut," everyone praised his performance, and he basked in the joy, posing with a triangular cup. As the manager clapped and cheered, he asked about Ji Shui. Turning to look, he saw the empty seat. The manager stuttered, she left. Said she was going to the mall to buy new clothes. The second young master felt extremely upset and helpless, choking up at the thought that she didn't even stay to see his handsome scene. The scene shifted to show an old lady with instant noodles, surprised, saying, "Buying clothes." Right now, Ji Shui was picking out her 999th dress and telling the shop assistant to wrap it up. The assistant, who had never seen such a thing, was so shocked she dropped her instant noodle fork. Ji Shui looked up and asked, "Are you not selling it?" The assistant, embarrassed, quickly said, yes, we are. It's just the first time someone has come to my small shop and bought so many things." It seemed like Ji Shui was here more to clear out her closet than to actually shop. Without saying much, Ji Shui pulled out her exclusive black card with 12 zeros on it and handed it over. The assistant was thrilled, never expecting such a powerful and wealthy woman to visit her little store. Meanwhile, as night fell somewhere in Africa, the eldest young master's iPhone 14 Pro Max in dark purple suddenly buzzed on his younger brother's chest. He saw a notification for a quick payment of 335 yuan. His two younger brothers were puzzled. 335 yuan? Why only that much? Even if you were spending money sneakily, it shouldn't be so little. She must be really charming. The eldest young master, fresh from the shower with water still dripping from his strong hands, reached out and said, "Give me the phone." We could see his impressive abs as he stared at the screen, watching payments of 12 yuan for yuan and 33 yuan pop up. He smirked, thinking about what kind of mischief Ji Shui was up to now. Back on the other side of the world, Ji Shui was discovering the joys of this beautiful world. After wandering around for half an hour, Ji Shui was holding a dress she bought for 500 yuan from a small shop in one hand and a 5 yuan ice cream cone in the other. She took a lick of the ice cream, surprised by how much she was enjoying herself in this moment. This strawberry ice cream is the best thing ever, she thought, realizing how simple happiness could be. At that moment, the second young master, wearing a black mask and dressed in a mustard yellow outfit, was lurking in a dark corner of the street, watching the powerful matriarch savor her ice cream. He realized that Ji Shui hadn't left yet and pulling down his mask. Ji Shui was deeply focused on her phone and didn't notice him nearby. She picked up the phone and asked, "What's up?" A voice on the other end said, "Madam, Mr. Jian has returned to Beijing." After hearing this, Ji Shui put down her phone and turned her attention to the second young master. She asked a bizarre question, requesting that the second young master reply about his brother's friend. After that, they went back home. When she got home, she received a call. She picked up the phone and asked, "Who is this?" It was Xiao Zuoling, Mr. Jian's secretary. She said Mr. Jian would visit the Yang family tomorrow night and hoped Ji Shui would entertain him personally. Ji Shui agreed, unable to refuse the guest's request. The standoff ended. Shui thought to herself that Mr. Jian must have something important to discuss, so she accepted the visit. As soon as she hung up, the phone rang again. This time, it was Yang family's secretary, saying that if Mr. Jian was visiting tomorrow, Ji Shui should bring him along. Ji Shui agreed without hesitation. Just then, the phone rang again. Annoyed, she thought, "Seriously? How much bad luck can I have in one day?" She answered the phone only to find out it was her mother. Ji Shui's eyes widened as memories came flooding back. Her father, Ji Shueming, had made his fortune by selling educational materials, which is how their family became wealthy. Ji Shueming's second wife, Zhongxin, was a stay-at-home mom. Ji Shui felt like a puppet under her parents' control, only a tool for their ambitions and wealth. She realized Mr. Jian's visit tomorrow was an attempt to get a share of their fortune. Her father claimed he was worried she couldn't handle it alone and offered to help, but Shui wasn't buying it. She cut her mother off mid-sentence and hung up. Everyone was anxious about Mr. Jian's arrival, sensing it would be a tough day. Shui prepared herself mentally and told her staff to hang up any incoming calls. Just then, the door opened, and her younger brother walked in with a lunchbox. Noticing the tense atmosphere, he asked if something was wrong. Shui, not wanting him to worry, kept it from him and asked if he had eaten. Yang Wenbo, who often blushed at the mention of food, shyly thanked her, while the second brother watched everything. After her younger brother went upstairs, he ran into his second brother, who asked if the lunchbox was from their sister-in-law. The younger brother, cold and indifferent, just said yeah and walked away. Suspicious, the second brother asked why their sister-in-law was suddenly trying to be nice. The younger brother, not wanting to get into it, shrugged it off and went to his room. The second brother was puzzled by his lack of reaction, wondering why he accepted her kindness so easily. Muttering to himself, he thought his younger brother was too easily swayed by Ji Shui. Bored in his room, he wondered why himself was jealous of the brother. It turned out that the second brother had seen Shui bring a meal to the fourth brother. When he tried to stir up trouble about it, the fourth brother brushed him off. Lying on his bed, staring at the ceiling, he thought, "I'm like an insignificant ant. She saved me, but she can't even spare me a glance." The second brother grew more upset, noticing that even at home, Shui seemed to care more about Yang Wenbo than him. He didn't realize he was becoming dependent on her and could only think about competing with Yang Wenbo for her attention. Meanwhile, at the train station, Jian Changming's niece, Jian Rui, and her friend, Cao Jiaye, were there to pick him up. As soon as Jian Changming arrived, he didn't even stop to rest but headed straight to the Yang family home. Jian Rui, curious, asked, "I've never met Ji Shui. What's she like?" Jian Changming, a neat and serious man with short hair and glasses, replied, "She's not a pleasant person," and set off for the Yang family. At the Yang family, Shui's parents were stopped at the gate. Her father shouted, "Mrs. Yang is my daughter." But the guards had strict orders to let no one in except Mr. Jian, especially not her parents. Annoyed, Shui's father ranted to the guards while a maid reported the situation to Shui, who calmly read her romance novel and said, "Let them wait. We'll see who gives in first." Just then, a black car arrived at the gate. Chen Yujin, Yang Chao's secretary, rolled down the window and asked Shui's parents what they were doing there. Trying to save face, her father mumbled that Shui probably hadn't woken up yet and complained about the guards. Chen Yujin smiled and slowly rolled up the window, saying, "I'll go check what's going on." Predicting that Shui's father would ask him to take him inside, he pretended not to hear and, adjusting his tie, entered the Yang family through the back door. Once inside, he asked where Mrs. Yang was and headed to the second-floor study, led by a maid. As he walked, he wondered what kind of book Shui could be reading, joking to himself that it might be a guide on how to win a man's heart. Or maybe it was about how to get more money out of a divorce. Outside the study, he didn't hesitate to push the door open. He saw Ji Shui sitting on the couch with a book titled Shadow of Humanity in her hand. Shui glanced up and asked, "Secretary Chen, do you have something to tell me?" Chen Yujin adjusted his glasses and said, "When Mr. Jian visits, I hope you won't speak." Imagine, the lady of the house being ordered around by a mere secretary. Chen Yujin, Yang Chao's secretary, had made it his first task upon returning to the Yang family home to instruct Ji Shui to keep quiet when Jian Changming visited. Shui seemed to have predicted this and calmly replied, "Okay." This response surprised Chen Yujin. He didn't expect Shui to agree without any fuss. Just then, a servant came to inform them that Jian Rui had arrived. Curious, Shui asked who Jian Rui was. The secretary explained she was Mr. Jian's niece. Shui looked unfazed and continued reading her book. Chen Yujin, surprised, asked, "Aren't you going to get up to greet her?" Shui adjusted her position on the couch and replied, "With Yang Chao not home, as the lady of the house, I shouldn't lower myself. Don't forget who's in charge here." Chen Yujin awkwardly smiled. Secretaries sure think a lot, their minds are always calculating. Ji Shui was acting unexpectedly today. Just then, Jian Rui pushed the door open. Seeing her, Shui was reminded of her past life. There seemed to be an inexplicable connection between them. Keeping her composure, Shui said, "Miss Jian, please have a seat. Coffee or pu tea?" Jian Rui, straightforward and taking a dominant stance on the couch, tried to extract some information from Shui by first saying that Jian Changming had gone to the Yang Corporation building and was waiting for Chen Yujin there. Chen Yujin adjusted her glasses and said, "What a coincidence," but didn't move an inch. Seeing no way to get rid of Chen Yujin, Jian Rui shifted her focus to Ji Shui. "Mrs. Yang, you look well," she said, implying that while her husband was dealing with the Ebola outbreak in Africa, Shui was here leisurely reading and drinking tea, not looking like a concerned wife at all. It felt like another battleground, with people saying Ji Shui was just a useless pretty face, too scared to meet people without Chairman Yang Chao by her side. But Ji Shui didn't back down. Calmly, she said, "Yeah, I've been sleeping great, eating well, especially enjoying strawberries." She pushed a plate of strawberries toward Jian Rui and asked, "Want to try some?" Chen Yujin glanced at Ji Shui, wondering if she really didn't catch the sarcasm or if she was pretending not to. Yet, with just a few simple words, Ji Shui dodged Jian Rui's verbal jab. Jian Rui, feeling temporarily defeated, switched to a friendly mode. "Thanks, I'll try one." Internally, though, she was baffled, thinking, "What's going on? How can she be so nice, even offering strawberries to her rival?" Just then, Ji Shui ended her battles with Jian Rui and told Chen Yujin to get moving. The situation was already delicate, so Secretary Chen couldn't stick around with them any longer. As Chen Yujin was about to leave, Ji Yushui announced she would join as well, shocking both of them. It was as if Ji Yushui was silently declaring, "You're no match for me, Jian Rui. I never saw you as a real opponent." Jian Rui realized she couldn't keep up with Ji Yushui's game and tried to stall her. But Ji Yushui turned to the second young master and said, "Wen Jio, take good care of our guest." This left Jian Rui no chance to recover. The second young master, confused, pointed at himself, "Hey, me? All right. Jian Rui thought, wow, she even got the hardest person to deal with on her side. Wen Jio, straightening his clothes, decided to follow his sister-in-law's orders. He turned to Jian Rui, "You sit here. I'll go get some tea." Jian Rui was stunned, unable to respond, as the second young master blocked her path. Ji Yushui and the secretary walked down the stairs together. The secretary couldn't help but notice that not only had the second young master's attitude towards Ji Yushui changed, but even the house staff were treating her with newfound respect. It was like she had become a completely different person. Cut to them sitting side by side in the backseat of a car. The secretary started by mentioning that not long ago, the fourth young master and Jiang Jing from the Jiang family got into a fight and ended up at the police station. He added that Mr. Jiang had shown up at their place. Ji Yushui, remaining calm, asked, "Did Mr. Jiang come to complain to you?" The secretary quickly explained that Mr. Jiang cared too much about his reputation to complain to him. Before the secretary could finish, Ji Yushui grabbed him by the collar and pulled him close. The secretary was stunned as Ji Yushui asked calmly, "Are you scared?" She then released her grip and said, "That's how I handle it. The same way I handle you is how I'll handle Mr. Jiang." The secretary adjusted his collar, realizing that with Ji Yushui's looks and confidence, few could resist her. He even worried for his boss, thinking, if she gets this close to Mr. Jiang, our boss might have a problem on her hands. When they arrived, the sound of Ji Yushui's heels echoed as they made their way to the office. The secretary informed her that the famous Mr. Jian was waiting on the 10th floor. As they walked through the company, employees greeted the secretary with respect but ignored Ji Yushui. The secretary decided to formally introduce her to everyone. The other employees quickly bowed and greeted Ji Yushui. She responded with a charming and confident look, acknowledging each one. Soon, the group entered the elevator, and Mr. Jian was informed that they were on their way. When the elevator doors opened with a ding, the striking pair stepped out. Despite standing next to the tall secretary, Ji Yushui's presence was commanding. As they approached, she extended her hand to shake Mr. Jian's. He was briefly taken aback but shook her hand politely. Once seated, Mr. Jian started by saying that the people from the Jian family had already arrived in Niger, a region known for terrorist activity. They hadn't found Yang Chao yet but had some leads suggesting he might have moved to Mali. Mr. Jian gave a detailed account of Yang Chan's movements. The secretary smiled in acknowledgement, and Mr. Jian nodded in agreement. It seemed like there was an unspoken understanding between Mr. Jian and the secretary. Suddenly, Mr. Jian looked at Ji Yushui and said, "I think I've underestimated you." Ji Yushui thought, "What's going on? Why is he staring at me like this? Do we have some kind of history?" She didn't realize she was Yang Chao's wife, so she remained indifferent when Mr. Jian talked about Yang Chao. The secretary chimed in, saying that Yang family's search team was also looking for him in Africa and that given Yang Chao's skills, he should be safe. Their job was to manage things back home. Mr. Jian then asked, "Do you know about Baoxing?" The mention of Baoxing suddenly jogged Ji Yushui's memory. Baoxing was one of Yang family's subsidiaries. Despite being the CEO's wife, she hadn't realized her connection with the company or her husband. The secretary and Mr. Jian continued their discussion about Baoxing. Mr. Jian mentioned that his role in fixing the mess was limited. The secretary then commented that Baoxing's losses were significant but manageable for the Yang family, although they brought considerable risk. Yeah. Ideally, other big companies should share this kind of risk. Mr. Jian thought about it and figured the Jiang and Song families could help. The secretary didn't respond and continued, after all, the Yang family's roots are overseas. Mr. Jian started doubting himself, thinking the Jiang family's Jiange and the Song family's Songjing didn't quite fit with the Yang family's plan, and now wasn't the right time to bring in overseas help. The secretary noticed and smiled, so please, Mr. Jian, help stall for time until Yang Chao returns. Meanwhile, Ji Yushui was thinking about the losses from Baoxing. It wasn't a big deal, but Chen Yujin seemed really worried and didn't want to involve overseas companies, only asking the Jian family for help. This showed how tricky the situation was. Ji Yushui had learned that the Jian family had some connections with special government projects. In her mind, she thought about the dynamics between the Guan, Jian, Yang, Jiang, and Song families. She had dealt with similar situations in her past life, so she decided to use that experience to try something new. Not everything has to be done by men, after all. Mr. Jian and the secretary finished their conversation and noticed Ji Yushui lost in thought. He asked, "Mrs. Yang, do you have any questions?" Ji Yushui didn't answer. Mr. Jian, puzzled, asked again, "Don't you want to know more about Yang family's situation?" Ji Yushui denied it with wide, innocent eyes, leaving Mr. Jian disappointed. He thought about Yang family's uncertain fate and felt she wasn't fulfilling her duty as a wife. Chen Yujin sensed the tension and quickly suggested, "How about I have someone take Mrs. Yang home?" Ji Yushui, without saying a word, started to leave under Mr. Jian's silent gaze. Mr. Jian looked away, deep in thought. As Ji Yushui was walking out, she suddenly stopped and turned back to Mr. Jian. "I believe he will come back alive," she said. Mr. Jian was stunned but then smiled warmly, "Yes, he definitely will." After leaving the office, Ji Yushui followed Chen Yujin, who asked what she was doing. Ji Yushui secretly handed him a note she had just written. Their fingers touched, and Chen Yujin's heart raced loudly. Right after, Chen Yujin tried to shake off his thoughts, watching Ji Yushui's figure fade away. "I just told her not to talk too much, but I didn't mean for her to not speak at all," he muttered to himself. Then he opened the note she had given him. Instantly, his face turned bright red. The note read, "Secretary Chen, your pants are wet from the tea." This awkward moment was noticed by Mr. Jian, who started to imagine all sorts of things. Was there something going on between Ji Yushui and Chen Yujin? After the meeting with Mr. Jian, Ji Yushui returned home and immediately asked the second young master to explain the relationships between the elite families. The second young master skeptically asked, "What's the point of understanding these connections? Can it change anything?" Ji Yushui, looking serious, replied, "These things are crucial and can't be ignored." Then she called the young master of the Jiang family, inviting him to her mansion in a few days. Listening to the pleasant voice on the other end, the Jiang young master remembered the recent strawberry incident that the reporters had spread. If he agreed to meet Ji Yushui, the rumor would be confirmed. But then he recalled how sweet that strawberry was. Wondering what trick Ji Yushui might be planning this time, Jiang young master eagerly accepted the invitation. Meanwhile, the second young master was curious about how Ji Yushui got so familiar with Jiang young master and why she invited him alone. Ji Yushui glanced over and said that the dinner would include many prominent families, except for the Feng and Song families. "If anyone asks, there's no need to explain," she added. After sorting out everything, Ji Yushui casually asked if the fourth young master had received the food she sent over. Meanwhile, the second young master felt incredibly conflicted. Then Ji Yushui decided to go on a shopping spree with Mrs. Xia, which made the second young master feel extremely unbalanced. He said, "Really? You're just going to ditch me after getting what you needed?" Jealous and bitter, the second young master continued, "My brother is missing, and you're just going to go shopping without a care?" But Ji Yushui didn't expect that. She brought up his extreme sports hobby. "Your brother is missing, yet you still find time to play extreme sports?" The second young master wanted to argue, but Ji Yushui cut him off, saying, "I should have held you under the water longer back then." She then provocatively asked, "What, are you worried some tabloid reporter will catch me?" This question suddenly made the second young master realize that Ji Shui was trying to create an illusion of normalcy for the public. This party was part of her plan. With a dramatic turn, Ji Shui left, leaving the second young master deep in thought about her true intentions. Hours later, the handsome, blonde young master from the Jiang family reappeared, looking for something to eat. To his surprise, he found his second brother sitting gloomily on the sofa. Concerned, he asked what was wrong. He had heard that everyone in high society was invited to the party, except for the Feng and Song families. The Jiang young master was secretly sulking, feeling bitter. He realized he was just being used by Ji Shui to make a point. Meanwhile, Ji Shui was calmly sitting on the sofa reading a book, waiting for her fake sister from a powerful family to arrive. Xia Taiyuan, now part of high society and accepted by this fashionable circle, often acted humble in front of Ji Shui. As soon as Mrs. Xia entered, she confidently stood in front of Ji Shui, holding her arm as if she were at home, and asked, "You're not wearing makeup?" Mrs. Xia still thought Ji Shui was upset over the news that Jiang Meng was pregnant with Yang Chao's child, but Ji Shui was just being lazy. Plus, those rumors were fake. They immediately got up and went shopping. While Ji Shui was on a shopping spree, somewhere in Africa, a card was swiped with large amounts each time, making the assistants think the card might have been stolen because of the sudden surge in spending. Yang Chao remained calm, thinking Ji Shui was back to normal, and then turned his attention to the war situation. Mrs. Xia was starting to worry about Ji Shui's excessive spending and tried to advise her, but Ji Shui was unfazed, pointing at the luxury items and demanding, "Pack all these up. I want them all." Feeling refreshed after the shopping spree, Ji Shui noticed Mrs. Xia hadn't bought anything. Mrs. Xia, speechless, replied, "You bought everything. What else could I get?" Ji Shui made some polite remarks and then left with her entourage, leaving Mrs. Xia standing alone, bewildered. Meanwhile, at school, the fourth young master looked at the lunchbox and was still thinking about how convincing Ji Shui's act was. His friend started teasing him, saying it must feel great to have someone care so much. They were all planning to ditch class and go have fun, and the fourth young master, always ready for action, waved his hand and said, "What's there to discuss? Let's go have some fun." As soon as he left, his phone started ringing. Ji Shui called, asking why he wasn't coming home. He thought she'd scold him when she heard he was going out, but instead, she asked, "That sounds fun. Can I come too?" The fourth young master thought about the party, which was just rich kids and models. He decided to cancel his plans, shocking his friends. Annoyed, he said, "What's the point of going? I'm heading home." At home, news about Ji Shui's shopping spree went viral, and her looks were hotly debated. The second young master, a die-hard fan, used over 100 fake accounts to defend her against the haters. Just after he finished arguing online, the fourth young master came home, threw his backpack on the couch, and ignored a call. The second young master, understanding what was up, commented, "It's all because of her." Annoyed, the fourth young master asked why he wasn't on set. The second young master said he just wanted to stay home. Both the second and fourth young masters stayed home for Ji Shui, and now they were starting to compete for her attention. This tension made the atmosphere icy. As Ji Shui clattered down the stairs, they looked away, and she invited them to eat together. At the dinner table, Ji Shui, wearing a low-cut white nightgown, cheerfully raised her glass for a toast. The fourth young master brought up the party again, and Ji Shui insisted that the party had to happen. Before Ji Shui could finish speaking, the fourth young master anxiously asked, "Is everything ready?" Ji Shui, showing off her boss-like demeanor, said she had already left it all to her secretary. The fourth young master was shocked that the secretary would agree to such a crazy plan from Ji Shui. He tried to protest, but Ji Shui calmly replied, "You should trust me, just like your second brother does." Meanwhile, the second young master was silently fuming, feeling unfairly dragged into the conversation. The second young master wanted to argue back, but Ji Shui brought up a key point, asking why he wasn't out having fun. The fourth young master tried to stop him, but the second young master kept grinning, ready to spill some secrets. The atmosphere was oddly harmonious, surprising even the maids. On the other side of town, in the world-weary group, Mr. Jian and Jian Rui exchanged looks. Jian Rui seemed troubled by something related to the Cao family's business, and Mr. Jian guessed it had to do with a celebrity named Jiang Meng. Mr. Jian, uninterested in everything else, zoomed in on a photo of Ji Shui, quietly admiring her face. Jian Rui, puzzled by some misinformation, wondered if they had made a mistake. Mr. Jian explained why Ji Shui was throwing such a grand party and suggested that Jian Rui should directly ask her if she had any questions. Just then, Mr. Jian called Jian Rui back, asking her to describe Ji Shui. Jian Rui mentioned that this wealthy lady was notorious for partying wildly with various handsome guys whenever her husband was away, and she even invited more rich and handsome guys to her house for wild parties. This behavior, of course, caught everyone's attention. Jian Rui stopped and simply said that she was nothing like the rumors suggested. Soon, the day of the party arrived, and as expected, the event was trending as the #1 topic on social media. The CEOs at the party were shocked to see their names openly mentioned on social media, and the buzz around the event was intense, leading them to consider taking action. At this moment, Chen Yujin didn't notice anyone at all, his eyes were fixed on the person at the center of the topic. Ji Shui just stood there. She was dressed in a black velvet vintage gown, adorned with emerald jewels, looking elegant and dignified. However, Ji Shui wasn't satisfied with her outfit, thinking it needed to be more formal, and she began to miss her ancient official robes. After dealing with some matters, Chen Yujin quickly approached Ji Shui and asked, "Isn't there a single outfit you like?" Thinking it over, she suggested getting a styling team. Chen Yujin agreed, so they started preparing. The scene shifted to a bustling train station where a short-haired girl, Yang Wenshu, the third young miss of the Yang family, looked very spirited. After instructing her Jiang Meng's assistant, she headed to her latest pink Lamborghini. She drove to her studio, where Jiang Meng, with her team, discussed preparations for the Yang family's banquet with her. Jiang Meng mentioned that this issue needed to be resolved, and she returned to the country for this reason, right? Yang Wenshu agreed. Then, Jiang Meng's assistant mentioned that their designer wouldn't lend them any dresses, so she hoped Yang Wenshu could help find another designer. Yang Wenshu's indifferent attitude made it clear she had no interest in helping. After angrily dismissing Yang Wenshu, she called Cao Jiaye, hoping he could assist since Yang Wenshu wouldn't. She wanted him to help clear the negative comments about Jiang Meng on Weibo. There was only an hour left before the banquet, and a maid told Ji Shui she could eat something before heading to the hotel. Meanwhile, all the designers focused their attention on Ji Shui, marveling at how she effortlessly combined exquisite features and an imposing presence. "Look at this beautiful rich lady, getting all dolled up to party with handsome guys while her husband's away," they whispered. Even the assistant helping Ji Shui with her dress couldn't help but blush. The large doors opened, and Chen Yujin turned to see Ji Shui standing there in a white satin gown that perfectly showcased her figure. She flashed a bright and sunny smile, ready to head to the venue with him. Chen Yujin took the drink menu and, smiling, told Ji Shui, "There's no way a lady dressed like this should be bending down to do such tasks." Ji Shui thanked him and returned a dazzling smile before sitting gracefully on the sofa, while Chen Yujin rushed around, exhausted from all the preparations. As night fell, the grand banquet began. Outside the sprawling mansion, under countless lights, Mr. Jian arrived in formal attire. Soon after, the media spotted the elegantly dressed Jiang family sons arriving. But their attention quickly shifted to Ji Shui, who greeted the Jiang brothers with a smile, while Chen Yujin stood protectively behind her like a soldier. Under the flashing lights, the group of handsome men and beautiful women sparkled. Chen Yujin walked beside Ji Shui, momentarily stunned by his thoughts, but his actions remained sincere as he stood by her side. Ji Shui didn't notice anything unusual and continued to welcome the Jiang brothers into the mansion. As the second Jiang brother chatted, he kept sneaking glances at Ji Shui, thinking, "Is this the sweet treat Ji Shui has for me?" The third Jiang brother greeted her, calling her sister-in-law, which caught the attention of the paparazzi. Realizing the awkwardness, he quickly added, "I got it from Yang Wenbo." The paparazzi then speculated about any potential rumors between Yang Wenbo and the Jiang family brothers. The youngest Jiang brother realized that the more he spoke, the worse it got, so he decided to shut up and leave. This elegant lady was mingling with all the handsome guys, getting along with her husband's friends even better than her husband did. After greeting the two Jiang brothers, Mr. Jian soon approached Ji Yushui, and she smiled at him too. The paparazzi started wondering what kind of magic this glamorous lady had to attract all these good-looking guys to her mansion. Meanwhile, Jiang Meng was biting her molars in frustration, realizing that Ji Yushui had hired the top team in the country, while her own team was clearly inferior. As she was deep in thought, Yang Wenshu angrily snapped, "What are you doing? Hurry up!" Jiang Meng quickly put on a pleasing face and followed her. While walking, Yang Wenshu asked Jiang Meng, "Do you want to be Mrs. Yang? If you didn't, why would you come to me? When you used your child as leverage, I saw through your ambitions. Are you still pretending otherwise?" Yang Wenshu suddenly turned and stared at Jiang Meng, saying, "If Ji Yushui isn't qualified, then you definitely can't measure up to the Yang family." Jiang Meng gritted her teeth in anger but couldn't say anything back. Meanwhile, in the Yang family mansion, the Jiang brother asked, "What good is there in tying the Jiang family with the Yang family?" He moved closer to Ji Yushui and lowered his voice, saying, "You need to give me some benefits. This Jiang brother really can't take any hardships. This shows he's here for Ji Yushui." Chen Yujin and Mr. Jian noticed Jiang brother's behavior, as he seemed to be watching Ji Yushui's every move. The second Jiang brother noticed their stares, pretended not to see, and continued talking with Ji Yushui. Ji Yushui thought of letting Chen Yujin give the branch company's project to the Jiang family, hoping to get the best deal with the least cost. However, the Jiang brother wasn't easily fooled. He knew the branch company's projects were already losing money. It seemed that the head of Baoxing had embezzled funds, turning Baoxing into a mess, but with Yang Chao's skills, it should be manageable. Why was this mess left behind when Yang Chao was missing? Or maybe it was already a mess when Yang Chao took over. Ji Yushui didn't care what Mr. Jiang thought and directly said, "Mr. Jiang, you'll definitely need this. Pretty women always know how to capture a man's heart." When Mr. Jiang asked Ji Yushui for some benefits, she gave him a project that was losing billions. Mr. Jiang thought it must have been Chen Yujin who badmouthed him to Ji Yushui and warned, "Don't listen to that fool Chen Yujin. Foolish is just foolish." Instead of getting angry at Mr. Jiang's outburst, Ji Yushui calmly said, "Try this strawberry. It's even better than the ones before." She picked up a strawberry, and as Mr. Jiang swallowed hard, watching it come close to his lips, Chen Yujin rushed over to save his boss's dignity, interrupting the conversation with Mr. Jian. Mr. Jian, seeing some juicy drama, decided to join Chen Yujin. Together, they broke up the intimate moment between Mr. Jiang and Ji Yushui. Mr. Jiang looked annoyed, and as the four of them talked, they heard a loud female voice. Turning around, they saw Yang Wenshu gritting her teeth, wanting to talk to Ji Yushui alone. Although they were less than 2 meters apart, it felt like there was a mountain between them. The guests around started whispering about the drama between the two. Ji Yushui, standing beside Chen Yujin, asked, "Who's making such a fuss?" Yang Wenshu, furious, said, "Don't pretend you don't know me." Chen Yujin quietly reminded her that it was Yang Wenshu, the third miss of the Yang family. Seeing the tension, Yang Wenshu wondered when Chen Yujin started siding with Ji Yushui. After learning who she was, Ji Yushui confidently responded, "I thought she was some rude girl with no manners, daring to call me by my name without any respect." The guests were amazed by how Ji Yushui's few words left Yang Wenshu speechless. Jiang Meng, standing nearby, was shocked and thought, "Wow, she even dared to insult Yang Wenshu." The young master of the Jiang family, who had received special attention from Ji Yushui, was eavesdropping and thought, "Come on, Mrs. Yang, big sister Ji Yu, you should step in and take care of your own family's problems too." Yang Wenshu, humiliated and unable to respond, pointed an accusatory finger at Ji Yushui. Ji Yushui, who hadn't even looked directly at her, turned to Chen Yujin and asked, "Did I say anything wrong?" Chen Yujin quickly agreed, "No, you didn't say anything wrong. This little girl has no idea what she's up against, daring to challenge the head lady of the house. You just taught her a small lesson, and she's already speechless." Ji Yushui exuded a powerful aura as she walked towards Yang Wenshu. With each step Ji Yushui took forward, Yang Wenshu took a step back. Ji Yushui teased, "You're quite foolish, aren't you?" Chen Yujin thought, "Wow, she used the exact words I was thinking. We're really on the same wavelength." Yang Wenshu looked suspiciously at Ji Yushui and the people behind her, feeling like they were all brainwashed. Ji Yushui stared her down with sharp eyes, then turned and said, "Come with me." Ji Yushui led Yang Wenshu to an empty area, swiped a card, and they both sat on the sofa. Ji Yushui looked down at Yang Wenshu and said, "You're not the only one who's angry. I'm angry too." Yang Wenshu turned away. "Who cares if you're angry or not?" The tension was thick in the air. Ji Yushui struck back, "I can't believe you're even worse than Yang Wenbo." Hearing herself compared to Yang Wenbo made Yang Wenshu even angrier. She wanted to argue, but Ji Yushui interrupted her and said, "I don't care if you genuinely like this family or if you're just here for the status and benefits it brings. Right now, your actions are bringing shame to the family. But if you understand this, there's still hope for you." Yang Wenshu laughed and retorted, "Haven't you ever brought shame to the Yang family?" Ji Yushui replied, "When I make mistakes, people will say it's because the Ji family didn't raise me well. But you're part of the Yang family. What you do directly shames the Yang family." Yang Wenshu, still speechless but not backing down, said that the issue with Jiang Meng needed to be resolved. "If she's carrying my brother's child, and if my brother dies out there, that child is his only legacy," she argued. Ji Yushui found this little girl quite interesting and rested her chin on her hand, asking, "I've never seen you care about your brother this much before. Why now?" Yang Wenshu, getting more emotional, stated she didn't care about her sister-in-law and actually disliked imposters. "But the child is the most important," she emphasized. Ji Yushui tilted her head, pretending to be thankful. "So, should I thank you for that?" she asked, catching Yang Wenshu off guard. Ji Yushui continued, "Thanks for disliking Jiang Meng even more than I do." Just a moment ago they were arguing fiercely, and now Yang Wenshu's face turned bright red from the unexpected compliment. Yang Wenshu, still flustered, stammered, "I wasn't trying to compliment you. You don't get it, so I'll just say it directly. Only my brother's genes are worthy of inheriting the Yang family's legacy. The Yang family has too much at stake and needs someone with superior genes. That's why this child is so important." Hearing this, Ji Yushui felt exasperated. She looked at the teary-eyed Yang Wenshu and said, "You really are a bit dumber than your brother." Ji Yushui stood up and explained, "Everyone's genes are different. Some people are born ordinary, while others are born geniuses. But you need to understand that stupidity can be fixed." She gently lifted Yang Wenshu's face and wiped her tears, saying, "Try to shine and be productive. It's better than wallowing in self-pity and making endless mistakes." After this, Ji Yushui turned and walked out, leaving Yang Wenshu to think things over. Ji Yushui closed the door behind her, where Chen Yujin was waiting outside. She gave Chen Yujin a bright smile and said, "I need you to do something for me." Curious, Chen Yujin leaned in, and Ji Yushui, still smiling, handed him a ruthless order: cancel all of Yang Wenshu's flights for the next 3 months. "We're keeping her in the country. I trust this won't be a problem for you." Chen Yujin, encouraged by Ji Yushui's confidence, knew he could handle it easily. Secretary Chen, amused by the straightforward task, readily agreed with a smile. As Ji Yushui and Chen Yujin chatted, they made their way to the guest hall. She pushed open the door and stood gracefully at the entrance, raising a glass of champagne. Mingling with the wealthy guests, it was more like receiving compliments than actual small talk. Inwardly, she thought about how Yang Wenchu needed to be reined in and properly guided for a few months. However, she had gleaned some useful information from Yang Wenchu today. The girl was still too naive and transparent. As these thoughts passed through her mind, her gaze fell on young Master Jiang. She lifted her glass and looked at him, making him blush furiously. Poor guy, getting all shy and embarrassed. While young Master Jiang blushed under Ji Yushui's gaze, the secretary noticed the scene. Meanwhile, a subordinate cluelessly asked about Jiang Meng, who didn't have an invitation. Chen Yujin said, if she wasn't invited, it's easy to handle. The subordinate then noticed Chen Yujin's sly smile and cunning look. Meanwhile, Jiang Meng stood at the party, feeling out of place and receiving disdainful looks. People whispered about her with contempt. Suddenly, a voice called out above her. Miss Jiang Meng thought her savior had arrived, but when she turned around, she saw security guards asking her to leave. She protested, claiming to be a guest of the third miss, threatening to make a scene if kicked out. Security didn't hesitate, covering her mouth and dragging her away without any ceremony. Jiang Meng lamented to herself, thinking she had messed up big time and wondering how she'd face the news headlines tomorrow. She regretted her actions, wishing she had been smarter from the start. Jiang Meng felt like her life was ruined. Everyone watched as security dragged her outside. The venue seemed a lot cleaner once she was gone. After some time, Ji Yushui finished hosting the event and returned to her room. She took off her dress, sat on the couch, and let out a long sigh. Socializing was so exhausting, and she appreciated the quiet night. She thought about how Yang Wenchu was probably busy with the film crew, which explained the calm. Ji Yushui picked up her phone and called Secretary Chen, who had just gotten home and hadn't even taken off her clothes yet. Ji Yushui asked for the director's phone number like a kid asking their dad to find their mom. Secretary Chen thought, she really treats me like a tool and a babysitter, but he quickly found the number and sent it to Ji Yushui. Neither of them hung up right away, and the silence was awkward. Secretary Chen's heart pounded as Ji Yushui said, a woman calling her husband's secretary late at night, for another man's number. Secretary Chen listened, stunned, as Ji Yushui continued, thank you for your hard work today. Secretary Chen froze, feeling like no one had cared about his efforts in a long time. Before he could respond, he heard Ji Yushui say goodnight and hang up. Secretary Chen took off her glasses and smiled softly, whispering goodnight back. Meanwhile, Ji Yushui texted Director Li, asking him to look after Yang Wenchu and to inform her if anything unusual happened. After organizing everything, she tiredly stood up and slowly took off her heavy dress. Soon, the sound of running water filled the bathroom. Just then, Yang Wenchu's brother asked, you went to the event? What time did it end? 9:30, Yang Wenchu replied. So early? Was it because Ji Yushui wanted to go to bed early? Yang Wenchu laughed, it wasn't just me wondering. Seeing your confused face makes me feel better. It was a ridiculous request, but Mr. Jian, Jiango, and Secretary Chen all listened to Ji Yushui and actually ended the event right on time at 9:30. Yang Wenbo looked worried and asked, are you going to see Sister Ji Yu? At that moment, Ji Yushui had just finished her bath and heard a knock on the door. She opened it while drying her hair. Yes? What's up? She asked. Her beauty was like a fresh lotus, with water droplets still clinging to her hair. Yang Wenbo swallowed nervously, his face turning red as he quickly looked away. No, nothing. Really? I'll just go dry my hair. As Yang Wenbo turned away, he asked quietly, did the event go well? Ji Yushui replied, yes, it went very smoothly. You've become more considerate, that's progress. Yang Wenbo blushed even more, wondering if she was complimenting him. No one had ever praised him like that before. Wait a second, I need to get something, Ji Yushui said, hiding her hands behind her back. Yang Wenbo worried, thinking, she's not going to hit me with a belt again, right? Ji Yushui extended her hand. Here, this is a reward. Yang Wenbo stared at the star-shaped badge in his hand. It was the first reward he had ever received. He clutched it tightly, his face flushing with a mix of pride and shyness. Meanwhile, the actor had no focus for filming. He kept checking if there were any messages from Ji Shui or any news about her. She was stunning, elegantly dressed, with a polite smile that could charm anyone. But the sight of a post almost made Yang Wenjia explode with anger. The post said that not only did Ji Shui personally pick up Jiang Ge, but she also gave him a strawberry to eat. Yang Wenjia fumed. He had never received a strawberry from her. The post further revealed that Jiang Ge's younger brother once fought with Yang Wenbo, and Jiang Ge had demanded an explanation, leaving with a big bag of strawberries. This time, Ji Shui even brought strawberries to the event. Does anyone else think this CP, couple pairing, is nice? One comment right. Some even said they should be together since Yang Chao and Jiang Meng had an affair a long time ago. Yang Wenjia reported the post, irritated by the baseless gossip. No way she likes Jiang Ge, he thought. Back in Africa, a man struggled to fight while his wife used his credit card for a shopping spree. The constant notifications of deductions became his daily dose of sweetness amidst the chaos. Ji Shui turned into an ice cream shop, and soon her husband received an $11 deduction notification. The thought of his wife taking a delicate bite instantly melted away all his fatigue from the battlefield. Back at the ice cream shop, Ji Shui was eating her 99th ice cream when the clerk asked if she wanted to redeem her points again. Next time, she replied, thinking she'd wait until the kids at home behaved better. Meanwhile, the fourth princess was proudly holding onto the badge he received from her sister-in-law, feeling thrilled about his first ever reward and the praise that came with it. She wondered how the fourth princess would react if other kids started showing off the same badge. Soon, Ji Shui returned home, and Secretary Chen arrived right on time. "Sir, would you like something to drink?" "A cup of iced coffee with milk tea," he replied. Ji Shui propped her chin on her hands and said, "Let's talk about the Baoshin project. I'm interested in it." With a serious look, Ji Shui added, "The Yang family business can't collapse because I can't handle living in poverty. Even if a subsidiary fails, it won't affect the core of the Yang family. I only believe in what I see." Secretary Chen squinted his fox-like eyes and said, "Maybe you can create another miracle. Later, Mr. Jian and I will go to Baoshin. You can join us, after all, it's her legal right to inspect the Yang family's properties." "Alright, that sounds like a good idea. It's lunchtime anyway. Is there anything you recommend at the canteen?" The two of them headed to the canteen, where Secretary Chen introduced all the delicious dishes. "Wow, the owner is even more beautiful than on TV. No wonder Mr. Chen is personally showing us around. This is impressive. Do you have any portable specialty snacks?" "Of course, madam, right this way." Soon, Mr. Jian arrived downstairs in his car, and Ji Shui handed him a small packet. "Good afternoon, Mr. Jian. This is a specialty snack from the Yang family canteen. You should try it." The man felt a warm feeling in his heart. This is unique. "Thank you for thinking of me, Madam Yang." Mr. Jian didn't lack money or power, but these thoughtful, small gifts showed a special kind of friendship, making him feel appreciated. He thought, how did I not notice her before? She has a talent for gift-giving. The three of them headed upstairs, but suddenly, a phone rang urgently. "Excuse me, I need to take this call." "Mrs. Yang, bad news. We just found out that the second young master's assistant booked skydiving tickets in Pinggu." Ji Shui took a deep breath. That troublesome kid still hadn't learned his lesson from last time. Secretary Chen looked at this smart and strong woman with sympathy. "Don't worry. It's normal for the second young master to go missing occasionally. But jumping from 11,000 kilometers up in Pinggu? That's just asking for trouble. I heard 5 tourists nearly died there last month." Ji Shui suddenly felt a surge of anger. "I'll send the bodyguards to bring that kid back. You can't solve this just by being tough. If it were that simple, I'd toss him into Pinggu myself. Has he always been this rebellious?" Secretary Chen, used to these situations, smiled fondly. Ji Yushui, fuming, stormed downstairs. Soon, they arrived at the entrance of Baoshin. Ji Yushui closed her eyes, recalling the original owner's memories. Pei Lisin, Baoshin's head, was the wife of Yang Chao's great-uncle. Unfortunately, the original owner had never interacted with her, so Ji Yushui had no idea what kind of person she was. They quickly reached the meeting room, where a group of employees was already waiting. The blonde-haired one's eyes lit up instantly. "Hello, President Chen," he called out, then walked past Ji Yushuiyan. "Oh my, isn't this General Manager Jian? What brings you here? We're honored by your presence." Ji Yushui raised an eyebrow at this obvious attempt at intimidation. Secretary Chen politely greeted him, explaining they were just accompanying Mrs. Yang. The blonde-haired woman was surprised at Chen's politeness towards Ji Yushui, showing a professional smile. "So, Mrs. Yang is here for a visit? But what could Mrs. Yang possibly want to see here? We don't manufacture cosmetics, jewelry, or bags. There's nothing of interest for her here." Ji Yushui's eye sharpened. "Isn't this a property of the Yang family? Of course I have the right to be here. Who do you think I am?" Mrs. Yang declared confidently as she stepped forward, her presence intimidating. The blonde-haired woman took a few steps back, visibly shaken by Ji Yushui's commanding aura. "Yes, of course you have the right," she stammered, her smile becoming forced. "What can we do for you today?" "I want to see the financial records." "Bring me the ledgers," Ji Yushui demanded. The blonde-haired woman gritted her teeth, but put on a fawning smile. "I'm sorry, but even you can't see those without proper authorization. You could get us all in trouble." "Fine. Do you have any project plans I can look at?" she asked. "Sorry, but those are off limits too," the blonde-haired woman replied. Ji Yushui crossed her arms, feigning irritation. "Is there anything I can see, or are you just trying to make things difficult for me on purpose? Take me to the warehouse, now." The blonde-haired woman hesitated, then reluctantly agreed. "All right, I'll take you to the warehouse." Secretary Chen, watching everything unfold according to plan, smiled slyly. "Mr. Jian and I will be over here having tea. Take your time, Mrs. Yang." As they walked to the warehouse, the blonde-haired woman thought to herself, "These two are just here to humor her. I'll just show her some random stuff to get her off our backs." When they reached the warehouse, Ji Yushui was taken aback by the sheer number of boxes stacked inside. It gave her a deeper understanding of how vast the Yang family's empire was. Fortunately, she had reviewed Baoshin's information beforehand and knew the company handled large government infrastructure projects, which meant there were many layers to uncover. The woman accompanying her seemed to relax a bit as Ji Yushui started looking around, realizing she was only skimming the surface. This warehouse isn't off limits to Ji Yushui, but it is to Secretary Chen and the inspection team. She won't be able to notice any problems or take anything away to show others, so no secrets will be exposed. "Let's go." "Done looking around already? You really are just a pretty face, probably can't even read the words on the containers, let alone know the secrets inside," the blonde-haired woman thought. Secretary Chen still had to check out the company. Secretary Chen and Mr. Jian had been annoyed by them for a long time. Now, Ji Yushui's voice was like music to their ears, and they got up immediately. Ji Yushui signaled Mr. Jian to stay behind. The man instantly understood the signal. "I'll cover for Mrs. Yang and make sure she's safe." Their impeccable acting quickly made the enemy drop their guard. "They're here just to take stock of Yang's assets, so no need to worry," the woman thought as she escorted them downstairs with a big smile. After saying goodbye to Mr. Jian, Secretary Chen couldn't help but remind, "That woman's not the trouble, it's the old turtle hiding behind her. If we don't deal with him, Yang family's business is done for." "Don't worry," Mrs. Yang said, not concerned at all, showing that she was as decisive as ever. "Hey, Director Li, I'm heading over now," she said enthusiastically before realizing she might be too eager. Surprisingly, Ji Yushui agreed right away. Sure, she said, naturally more adorable than before. Soon, they arrived at the set. Director Lee hurried over. Mrs. Yang, you finally made it. This is the person in charge of the skydiving spot. Where will the skydiving take place? Prepare a slot for me too, I'm jumping as well. Secretary Chen grabbed her hand. Are you crazy? You can't go, it's too dangerous. The veins on his hand showed his anxiety and fear. You can't go, it's too dangerous, he repeated. Meanwhile, another person was leisurely soaking in a hot spring, looking at the skydiving alarm set for 1 a.m. The man got up slowly, quickly prepared, and eagerly boarded the helicopter. The beautiful night sky felt within reach. Indeed, Pingu's night view was more stunning than the daytime. Taking a deep breath, he said, Coach, I'm ready. Before he could finish, a small foot kicked her out of the helicopter. The unexpected weightlessness overwhelmed his brain, and his heart raced. Ah, what the heck? Who's trying to kill me, he thought.